What's up? Welcome inside the open line, coming to you on a Thursday. Corey and Benny getting ready to push into the weekend. I know you got big drafts coming up this weekend. Before we get into today's show, I know a lot of people hit me up in my inbox and stuff like that, looking for different type of fantasy advice and stuff like that. If y'all remember from last year, that is a Cash App service. It's $1 a question. So there you go right there. You come to my inbox with a fantasy question. You also have to come to my Cash App with a dollar per your question. Don't forget that's Twitter at the Fantasy Exec. I had to get that capitalism moment out the way, Benny. What's good with you?
Hey, not much, man. Yo, you gotta take care of business first, right? That's the whole idea here. Yeah, not much. We're just adjusting my mic here right now, which means that one of my kids was probably fucking with it yesterday. So I don't know. Something crazy may happen at some point during the show. I'm really looking forward to school starting, Corey. Let me say that. I love my kids, but they've been home with me now for 2 straight months, and they're driving me insane. So I'll be very happy after Labor Day. They go back Wednesday. You know, that Daddy will get a little bit more relaxation time in the morning, which would be nice.
Yeah, my son is on campus already, and my daughter, she's getting ready to go back. She goes back after Labor Day, just like your kids do. So, I'm on the phone with her from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, as camp is out for her and she's bored. My son, though, now it's textbooks. I forgot about textbooks. I wasn't thinking about textbooks. So now it's time for that. And those books are not expensive. But yesterday, I get a Cash App request from my son for $12. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing with $12? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at that point, it's $12. Like, if you're gonna go for a kid, add a zero or something.
Exactly.
You're making a sizable amount of money. How are you gonna ask for $12 for? You know,
$12. You're gonna be back tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you're trying to get that Popeye's chicken sandwich combo.
Yeah. Unless it says for my train ticket home or something like that. I don't know, man. I used to. I mean, again, when I was in college, I was kind of broke. I had a job, but I mean, you didn't make a lot of money. So every once in a while, I would ask my parents for money, but I would wait and ask them for I would never say, "Hey, Dad, can you send me $20?" Because that should be gone by the end of the weekend. It would be like, "Hey, Dad, can I have it was always 100 or 200. Dad, can I have 100? Can I have 200? Well, what do you need it for? Well, I need it to eat, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it all went to the liquor store or the farm, or the local drug dealer, one way or another. But I mean, you got to ask for at least a little bit of money. Otherwise, they start thinking.
I'm like, what do you can't do nothing for $12. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So we got. Wait, listen, I wasn't going to argue with him, though.
Listen, as a father, when I'm on the other side now, if my kid sends it to me for 12, I'd rather send them 12 than 100 if I can. But
there you go. So. Got that out the way and got that covered. But when my sister got in yesterday, my sister was like, your son Cash sent me a Cash App request for $12. So I'm like, he must be hitting everybody up for $12.
Oh, so that's what it is. He's gonna have $180 by the end of the week. He just figured if I spread it around, nobody's gonna be like, all right, $12 is okay. I don't know, kid's got some skills, Corey. He's a hustler.
There you go, right there. You know what I'm saying? So multiple $12 does add up to something. Before we get into the football stuff, got a big night of preseason, the dress rehearsal weekend. Obviously that's the weekend when we get to see a lot of the starters, get a full look at some things going into the regular season. And obviously, once you get past this weekend, we really get hot and heavy in the draft mode all the way up to Labor Day. But we had a basketball game early this morning, Benny. The Team USA, and Australia played FIBA Basketball World Cup going down. Now, the Team USA has had a ton of people withdraw. We already know Marvin Bagley, Bradley Beal, Anthony Davis, Andre Drummond, De'Aaron Fox, Eric Gordon, James Harden, who would have been perfect for this tournament, Montrezl Harrell, Tobias Harris, Dame Lillard, Kevin Love, Kyle Lowry, C.J. McCollum, Paul Millsap, Julius Randle, P.J. Tucker have already said they weren't going. So you're kind of like, who do the Americans have left on the roster? One thing I can tell you, Benny, is the futures for this tournament has actually, at one point, the United States was minus 900. They are now, if I'm not mistaken, Benny, their future for this tournament is they are down to outright winner of this tournament. Team USA is at minus 230 right now. Last night, they came into the game laying 18.5. They do cover the 18.5 points, Benny. Now, when you look at the new roster, is led by Kemba Walker, right? And he was the one who had the big second half yesterday. But the way international basketball is played, Benny, what I wanted to ask you is, are some of these guys good fits for the international game? And one of the player that comes to mind immediately, and he also had a big game last night, was Miles Turner. I look at Miles Turner as a guy that's perfect for this type of tournament right here. So it's not so much not the U.S. not having the big stars, but do they have the right fit for the international game?
Yeah, I actually do think the team they put together was built to play in the international tournament, because international basketball is a lot different than the NBA. It really has a lot more to do with outside shooting, right? So you need guys that can knock down shots. You look at the roster that Team USA has, like Harrison Barnes can hit shots, Jaylen Brown can hit shots, Joe Harris can hit shots, Kyle Kuzma can hit shots, Chris Middleton hit shots, Donovan Mitchell, Kemba Walker hit shots. Marcus Smart even is, Marcus Smart is probably the worst shooter on his team, and even Marcus Smart can kind of hit shots. So they have a lot of those guys that can make things happen from the outside. And then, you mentioned even a guy like Miles Turner. They got Miles Turner. They got Brook Lopez.
Lopez, very key also. Very good for this tournament, Benny, Brook Lopez.
Yeah, because these are big guys that can hit shots, right? Like these are guys that can step out and spread the floor a little bit, which is kind of what the international game is all about. If you got guys that can spread the floor, teams have to come out and guard you. That opens up the middle. That lets guys like, Kemba Walker and Donovan Mitchell be able to slash to the hole and kind of make things happen. So I do think they built this team a lot differently than they built the team that wound up getting waxed in the FIBAs back in the day, when all these guys kind of had all these defections, right? When they had like Baron Davis and all those guys.
But I think that was a team that made them create this new system in USA basketball, like how terrible that went.
Yeah, and the thing about that team that everybody said is they didn't have any shooters. They had nobody that could stretch the floor, and that's why we lost to like Puerto Rico when we played in that game against Puerto Rico, because we had Vince Carter, we had Baron Davis, we had all these guys that are flashy and athletic, but they weren't really good shooters. They couldn't stretch the floor, and like I said, that's not really the way the international game is. Here's the deal, Corey. At minus 900, I would not have touched this team.
Yeah.
At minus 230, though, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not at minus 230.
Listen, here's the deal. We look at these other teams and we say, oh, well, they have 2 NBA players, or they have 3 NBA players, or, they have this guy or they have that guy, or there's a couple international guys that are, like stars on the international scene, whether playing over in like Spain or Turkey or something like that. We legitimately have 13 NBA players on this team. It's not like none of these guys suck. It's not like we got – it's not like all the NBA players said, no, I don't want to play. And we went and took like 4 college kids, 3 guys from the N1 mixtape, and, 5 guys that were playing at Rucker Park. And we're just like, come on, here's a USA jersey, go play. Like, we
can go get LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, well, to be honest, like I said, but again, before like the Dream Team came along, that's basically what we used to do. It's like we used to go take college kids that weren't NBA players yet and weren't getting paid. We were taking guys that never made it to the pros that, were like former college players. Like, that's how we used to build the Dream Team. So, this team is still 13 NBA players. And we're not talking like guys that are scrubs. You're talking Kemba Walker. You're talking Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. Like, they might not be the top 10 players in the NBA, but they're still in the top 100. Like, these are still very good basketball players.
No doubt.
Minus 230 on them to win it, I still think is a pretty decent bet.
Yeah, I think that's a decent bet too. I wouldn't mind laying that minus 230 as a good future bet. And they already covered their first spread last night, coming in at minus 18.5. They go back out Saturday morning at 5:30 a.m. Also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they'll be laying 18.5 in that one. One more question about this roster. This team was kind of built around the idea of having an all-world offensive player like James Harden, who can score 80 points in the international basketball game. Mm-hmm. Do you think now has to take over that onus of James Harden's scoring role on this team?
I think it's going to fall on Kemba and Donovan Mitchell. I think Kemba and Donovan Mitchell are going to wind up being the guys that lead us through this tournament. For those of you who don't know, like this is like the Worlds, I think is what they call it, right? It's like the World Cup of basketball.
The World Cup, more or less, it's a warm-up to next year's Olympics.
Yeah, so next year for the Olympics, you might get a few more of the studs deciding that they actually want to play.
I think – okay, let me ask you this. Do you think LeBron James says, you know what, I can one-up Michael Jordan in gold medals?
I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but, like, LeBron James to me is the wrong guy to be worried about right now. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron's time has come and gone. I don't want to say it like that because I'm going to start getting hate now. LeBron's time to be the guy in the Olympics has come and gone, right? Like this is a young man's game, right? This is where you should have your 25 to 30-year-old guys that are like coming into superstardom that are there. The Donovan Mitchells, the Jason Tatums, like this is where they should be to prove themselves there. James Harden is a little bit younger than LeBron and those guys. He should be here.
Yeah.
Like that's the guy that should be here. I don't want to see LeBron and Melo and Chris Paul. Like those guys had their run already. They had their chance. They played their dream team. They won their gold medals. And that's fine. It's really for the next level of those guys.
I expect guys like Damian Lillard to be there, Bradley Beal to be there, Marvin Bagley should be there. I think Steph Curry should go. Steph Curry doesn't have a gold medal, but Steph Curry also has 3 kids. You know what I'm saying?
Why? And I'm here for the show every morning.
The fact that Steph Curry has yet to play international basketball, Benny, is like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I understand my kids, but you ain't the only one with kids.
And honestly, if there's anybody who should be playing international basketball, it's Steph Curry. Like, the closer 3-point line, the up and down style. Like, I mean, this is basically – international basketball is basically the way the – Golden State Warriors play basketball, right? Or even Klay Thompson. Why isn't Klay Thompson here? There's another guy that should be
Klay Thompson's supposed to go to the Olympics.
Oh, you know what, Klay? That's right. Clay's going to be.
Not only that, Klay has already played international basketball. He was on the last team to win the gold medal. So
yeah.
But Steph Curry's never played international ball, so I think that he should try to get out there. Right quick, it was one more thing, Benny. The coaches. This is Greg Popovich's first year taking over the operation. Coach K, no longer part of USA Basketball, but he's like an overseer of USA Basketball. Coaching staff this year is Pop, Steve Kerr. That's my 2020 ticket. Pop Kerr 2020. Jay Wright, who is brilliant. And I like the fact, Benny, I think it's interesting, Lloyd Pierce, the coach of the Atlanta Hawks, also an assistant on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I like the coaching. I mean, I love Pop, love Steve Kerr. Jay Wright is one of the coolest guys I ever met. So I had a friend that I played AAU with, kid that I grew up with, who wound up going to Hofstra when Jay Wright was the coach over there at Hofstra.
Yeah.
We used to go over there all the time. He used to come watch our AAU games all the time. Him and my dad to this day are still good friends. They see each other at the Final Four every year. They go out to lunch and all that stuff. I got so hammered with Jay Wright one night. Want to hear a funny story? So I went to University of Delaware, right? Delaware and Hofstra are in the same division. So I want to say I think it was my junior year because I think it was my boy's sophomore year. My friend Rick, who actually played for him, Rick Apodaca, played for Puerto Rican national team, played a bunch of international games, all that stuff. One, leading scorer in the county that I grew up in history, broke Bill Raftery's record, hell of a player, right? So he got recruited by Jay Wright. His freshman year was, remember Speedy Claxton?
I got a story about Speedy Claxton, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was Speedy Claxton's senior year was his freshman year, right? So this was the year after Speedy left. They wound up winning the American East, which was our conference at the time, right? And the game was in Hofstra because they had won it the year before, so they were able to host. So they won the game and they were there.
Hofstra, so we wound up right down the street from where I'm at right now.
Okay, so all those little bars right there. I forget the name of the bar, man. It wasn't. There's like a big sports bar, or there's like a big bar that is the big campus bar, and then there's like this little hole in the wall sports bar, right? So we started out at the big bar where all the kids and everybody go to party after the game, and we were hammered and all that stuff. And then my boy got a text and he was like, "Come on, we're gonna go to this other bar. Coaches down there drinking with all the coaches." So we went down there and met up. My dad and all the coaches for Hofstra were actually down there drinking. And we got hammered with Coach Wright. I was 19, 20 years old at the time, so that wasn't even legal. But, dude, it was so much fun. We wound up at the end of that night, we wound up sleeping on my boy's floor, 6 of us, all of our friends from high school that were down there, wound up sleeping on the floor. And, every time we were there, we would be, halfway through with our beer. And Coach Wright would be like, "Yo, you guys need another one, man. Just order another one."
You're like, Jesus, Coach.
Oh, man. I was we were trying to keep up with him. That guy, I'll tell you what, man, that guy could drink. But the thing I love the most about Jay Wright is one of the best recruiters I've ever met in my entire life.
Excellent.
He will he used to come in, like, you know, when he was recruiting my boy, he would come into our locker room after the game and, like, you know, ask my dad was the AAU coach. So he would say, like, you know, Coach Charlie, mind if I say anything to the, you know, mind if I just say, you know, something to the guys real quick. And he would come in and just be like, hey, guys, it was a great game. And he knew everybody by name, like the most personable guy. He knew every kid on the team by name. Yo, Benny, that was a great pass you made over there. You know, John, that was a nice shot you made, blah, 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 blah. We go through the whole thing. You would walk out of there thinking like, holy shit, the guy's recruiting me. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Just absolutely the coolest guy, absolutely one of the best recruiters. And literally everybody who I know was not shocked at all with the success that he had at Villanova. So shout out to Jay Wright. I'm glad he's starting to get the credit that he deserves. He's a hell of a basketball coach, a hell of a recruiter. I hope he doesn't do something stupid and leave to go to the NBA, because college basketball is exactly where that guy belongs.
You know, I don't. Jay Wright can get Jay Wright. If Jay Wright ever decided that he even was thinking about going to the NBA, Villanova will cut a check that the size of an NBA team would cut to keep him near.
Dude, he is a legend on that campus. Like you know how Donald Trump could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it? Jay Wright could shoot somebody in the middle of Villanova's campus, and somebody else will jump in and be like, nah, that was me. That was my gun. I'm good.
Unfortunately, Benny, I know it well. All right, here we go. Let's get to some football for tonight. The Giants and the Bengals. We've kind of seen a little bit of the, I don't want to say hype, or I don't want to say maturation, but we've kind of seen a steady hand from Daniel Jones throughout the preseason, showing that he can, Benny, do the job. Obviously, this is Eli Manning's team to start the season. I think Eli Manning is short-lived. You won't see Saquon. You won't see, none of the names. But obviously, when you look at the Giants, this is about Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard. These are some guys that I think can get off to a real good start, especially as when you look at them as opposed to where they're being drafted. Well, even though Evan Ingram is climbing up draft boards now.
I mean, I would hope so, because I'm one of the people that's been drafting both of these guys a lot. I mean, listen, you have to make up. Odell Beckham not being there leaves a lot of targets to make up. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was the highest targeted. Well, I think he still had more targets than Saquon last year. So he was the highest targeted receiver on the team that walked away. You know, the only guy they really brought in was Golden Tate, and Golden Tate's going to miss the first 4 games here. So we looked at Evan Ingram's numbers last year. Ingram's numbers went up about 2 targets per game, almost 2 catches per game, and almost 40 yards per game without Odell Beckham the last 3 or 4 games of the season last year. So I'm really expecting a lot to come out of him. And Shepard is now basically the number 1 receiver in New York. So I'm interested to see how they use him, because a lot of what we've seen out of Shepard over the past couple of years has been him playing in the slot. Are they going to still keep him in the slot and just throw all these other, Cody Latimers and everything else on the outside for now? Or are they going to move him around? Are they going to try to get him in good matchups? So that's what I'm interested to see, is how they're going to be using him this year. Remember, Eli Manning didn't have a single touchdown pass last year over 34 yards. So lining up somebody on the outside on the New York Giants probably isn't the way to get them the ball, at least not at the early part of the season, as long as Eli's still there. Again, I think, in my opinion, Daniel Jones at some point this year should wind up being the quarterback. Although, as we've already heard from, team owner John Mara, that's not really the way the Giants are looking at it this season. So one way or another, I don't think this team is going to be very good, which means they're going to be trailing in a lot of games, which means that you should have some big games from guys like Shepard and Ingram, because they should have to pass the ball 35, 40 times if they're going to stay in some of these. No
doubt. So I like it a lot. You can get Sterling Shepard as basically a bench player, and I guarantee you by the time you get to the end of September, he'll be in your starting lineup. One of the real good values on the board, in my opinion. Other side of the football, bringing the Cincinnati Bengals, same shit. You know what I'm saying? Nothing really to see here. We know what Tyler Boyd is. We like where he's being drafted at. A.J. Green, like I've been saying, if you got an IR spot in your league, go ahead and take a crack on A.J. Green. Throw him in the IR, see what happens. If you have the roster real estate. Joe Mixon, we talked about yesterday, is a bona fide first, second round guy. And I guess Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton. He's not really going to be on anybody's team unless you're in the 2-quarterback league.
Yep.
One last piece, Benny. It's interesting. I got to do the beat writer survey for The Athletic today. I'm going to ask him about John Ross's health, even though I think John Ross is a 0. Tyler Eifert is healthy now. He's extremely cheap. Why not as a tight end 2? Yep. Other than that, Benny, I think the Bengals kind of speak for themselves fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken some Tyler Eifert in the last round to some of these draft.com ones as like my second tight end, third tight end kind of deal. Because people are just forgetting about him. They're just, Tyler Eifert when he's healthy is a good player. The problem is he's never really healthy. Another guy, Corey, who I think might have a little bit of value this year, especially in deep leagues. You're playing in 12, 14-team leagues with deep benches. Giovanni Bernard is somebody who I've been picking up. He's one of my kind of favorite backup handcuff / running backs because he's going to get at least a little bit of work during the year, probably in some passing down situations, which is something he's always had. And then, God forbid Mixon does go down. I mean, he's a starting running back.
Giovanni Bernard's an RB1.
Yeah, like if Mixon goes down, Giovanni Bernard becomes a 15 to 20 touch a game kind of guy. He's going to have to because they really don't have a lot here. So on draft day, when you're sitting there and you're drafting these, scrubs that you never heard of at the end of these drafts or taking some of these guys that you're probably going to wind up putting on the waiver wire, you might as well take a chance on a Giovanni Bernard because, like I said, I think he'll have some value, and there's a chance that he could have massive value, which is more than we can say for a lot of these other guys you're taking in round 18, round 20, round 24,
No doubt. Baltimore Ravens travel to Philadelphia tonight. They take that Amtrak right down the road, right up the road to Philadelphia. Take on the Eagles. I don't know if Carson Wentz is playing tonight. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz probably won't play tonight. We talked about Alshon yesterday, Benny, how he is a guy that is going late. Is a little bit undervalued. I like the kid J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Dollar make you holler. Pretty later on, we know what Zach Ertz is. Miles Sanders is the guy that's this weekend in drafts will be trending upwards. I can see him in the 4th or 5th round. So that's what I see with the Philadelphia Eagles side. Did I leave anything out?
I think people are also sleeping a little bit on the upside that Dallas Goedert has.
I agree.
Now, again, I'm not saying you take this guy as your tight end 1, but this is a guy that should be – he's gone undrafted in some drafts that I've been in, 18-round, 12-teamers. He's gone undrafted, and to me that just doesn't make any sense because God forbid Zach Ertz gets hurt, he steps into the Zach Ertz role. And even if Zach Ertz doesn't get hurt, we're hearing nothing but good things coming out of camp about this kid. Part of the reason why we're down on Ertz this year is because we think they're going to spread the ball around more. And one of the guys whose names is being mentioned as being able to get a bigger role is going to be Dallas Goedert. There are a lot of tight ends in this league that you're drafting late in these drafts. Like even a guy like Tyler Eifert. Tyler Eifert's best games, he's going to have 4 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown, right? He's going to get you 15 fantasy points. Dallas Goedert could put up a Zach Ertz 8 for $110 and 2 touchdowns kind of day.
No doubt.
There are very few tight ends that can do that, and none of them that you're drafting in round 18 and 20 that are going to be able to do that outside of him. So for me, if you're looking for upside, if you're playing in a, NFFC that has an overall or, World Fantasy Football, whatever the hell the people at what used to be Scout are calling it now. Like if you're playing in something that has one of those big overall championships at the end, Dallas Goedert is the kind of guy that could be the home run play that pushes your team over the top, especially with him going undrafted in some of these leagues. Because if you can get a guy that's undrafted in a team and a championship that has an overall, that's a huge advantage because like if you draft, if you get a huge season out of Julio Jones, like just a ridiculous season. Well, Julio Jones is on somebody's team in every single one of those drafts that happens. If Goddard only makes rosters in 70 or 80% of these teams, the 20% of leagues that didn't draft him, well, they're screwed because, if he has a big season and you don't have him on your team, you're not going to be able to compete with these other guys who have him. And if you're getting a guy like that in round 18 to 20, you probably have a pretty stacked running back, wide receiver, quarterback group to go along with them. And that's how you take down $100,000, $200,000 big prize and, get your name up on a plaque.
No doubt. Got it a play I like a lot. Other side of the football, Baltimore Ravens, we've spoke a lot. I think both of us are Justice Hill supporters. Miles Boykin can be a guy that can hit a little bit later on. Mark Andrews, don't forget that name this weekend while you're drafting Lamar Jackson. I think is being criminally underdrafted. I think that's about it for the Ravens, Benny. I don't think we get a good – I think Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, is becoming a waiver wire guy. Other than that, Benny, I think the Ravens are pretty set. Guys like Gus Edwards, Dixon, I don't know. I think the backfield is Mark Ingram, Justice Hill. I like Justice Hill more as an upside play, but Mark Ingram's solid too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind either one of those running backs, especially where you're drafting them both. I have no problem with that. I don't really see much outside of Andrews. There's not much in his passing game that I really want. I mean, if you like Lamar Jackson, you really like Lamar Jackson because of what he can do with his legs.
Yep.
And the more he does with his legs, the less there's going to be for a lot of those wide receivers, especially since, we like the running backs that they have there. So for me with Baltimore, I want Baltimore's defense. I have no problem with a little Lamar Jackson. I really want to keep it to the ground game, and the only piece of the aerial attack that I'm willing to own is Mark Andrews.
No, I would agree with you on that. Carolina and New England tonight also. New England, Tom Brady is going undrafted in leagues. Don't forget about him as a quarterback, too, with a very good floor.
Yep.
The N'Keal Harry thing, I think, is ridiculous. Don't overdraft Josh Gordon. I would warn you on not overdrafting Josh Gordon. But you know what the Patriots are. Sony Michel, Jimmy White, no tight end to speak of going into the season this year. We're hearing about this kid, Jacoby Myers. He's a name that could pop. I think he may be more of a waiver wire guy. And the main thing right now, Benny, with the Patriots is not overdrafting Josh Gordon. I've chased Josh Gordon a lot of years. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it paid off one time, and that was 6 years ago.
Yep.
It hasn't paid off since. I'm done chasing Josh Gordon. I wish him nothing but the best, Benny. But if Josh Gordon is not on this roster when the season ends, I would not be surprised.
I did a draft about 2 days ago, right? And he went in the 6th round. To me, that's a little bit that's a round where he probably should be. Yeah. But I'm going to say it this way, Corey. I have some shares of Josh Gordon that I took in round 12, 13 of drafts in June and July, the beginning of August, before he was reinstated.
Nice.
I think the window on drafting Josh Gordon, in my opinion, is closed.
I would agree with you on that.
Because I don't want 6th round Josh Gordon. I was fine taking a chance on 13th round Josh Gordon, figuring that, what the hell, if he never pans out, I drop him at some point and no big deal. I mean, I'm still not convinced that he's going to give you 6th round value. But again, if you got him in round 13, you got him in round 12, somebody in my Scott Fishbowl took him in like the 2nd or 3rd to last round. If you had a Josh Gordon flyer from earlier in the summer, congratulations, the lottery ticket hit. You got yourself a guy who's going to be a starting wide receiver very late in the draft, and you pulled off the coup.
Benny, here's the thing, Benny. I don't know if the lottery ticket has hit yet.
Well, again, this is what I'm saying. If you took him 13th, 14th, 15th round.
Playing.
Yeah. I think you got the value if you took him 13th, 14th, 15th round. If you're taking him now at the 6th round, though, there's no value there. Your risk reward is more – there's more of a chance he busts as a 6th round pick than there is that he gives you 6th round or better value, is what I'm trying to say. So that's why I said I think the window is closed on Josh Gordon. If you didn't have shares of him before the announcement was made, it's probably too late to go pay the price that you have to pay for him now and expect that you're getting a good deal still.
I would agree with you on that. Right quick, you mentioned Scott's Fishbowl. I want to take a pause for the cause before we talk about the rest of the preseason slate and look at my Scotch Fishbowl team, Benny, because I don't know who's on this team now. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, let me also say this. I very much overreacted yesterday. We still have a whole nother week before the waiver wire. It was not yesterday.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
I have Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Matt Ryan's bye is week 9. My backup quarterbacks could be out of a job by week 9.
They very well could be. But here's the one thing I love about Scott Fishbowl, Corey, and you know this because this isn't your first Scott Fishbowl either. Probably half of the 12 teams in each league or 14 teams in each league, probably half of them are going to blow most, if not all, of their fab the first week of the season.
No doubt.
Either on like the waiver wires now or – literally the first week of the season once guys start playing and start getting hurt. The one thing that I was always able to pick up for a decent price last year was backup quarterbacks stepping into a starting role. You know what I mean?
Perfect example, Dak Prescott.
Well, yes. I mean, that, again, that was 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah. But you know exactly what you're saying. That's usually the thing that you're able to get in Scott Fishbowl. Not so much like week one, because a lot of times week one, everybody, like the guys that people drafted, they know that their quarterback's hurt and that, Dak went for like $100 on some of those people's rosters a couple years ago, if you remember. Because they had Tony Romo and they were like, oh, crap, now I only have one quarterback. I need to pay whatever I have to pay to get him. There was somebody else last year, too. Like, I want to say Ryan Tannehill maybe went down. And somebody, whoever, was it last year or 2 years ago, Tannehill went down. And I forget who his backup was, but everybody was going.
2 years ago, and it might have been Matt Moore or something like that.
Yeah, everybody was going out and paying, like, ridiculous amounts of money for this guy. But that's the thing. It's like a lot of people blow their load on the Scott Fishbowl, their entire fab budget, during that first fab run when they have it. If you still have money by like week 5 or week 6, as guys start getting hurt, quarterbacks in season, picking up quarterbacks is one of the easiest things to do in season because a lot of people don't have the money left to make a serious bid, a serious fab bid on some of them. So you're usually able to. So not that it's a situation you want to be in, but even if both of those guys lose their job, I still think you'll be able to find somebody around week 9 for 10 or 11 fab dollars, which is like 10 or 11% of your budget.
No doubt. And this is super flex, so keep an eye on the quarterbacks. Running backs on this team, Tariq Cohen, Phil Lindsay. Speaking of Tariq Cohen, did you see the reports about them saying that they relied on Cohen too much last year? Definitely a good thing for David Montgomery. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for Tariq Cohen either.
See, the other thing that I've been noticing, they're using Tariq Cohen. They're lining him up a little bit in the slot.
Exactly. Using him as a wide receiver more this year.
Which, again, I mean, if you're playing in a PPR league, that's amazing. You're getting a running back that, could wind up getting some catches. I don't really know. I mean, here's my whole thing with this Bears offense. What I noticed from last year with the Bears offense is the Bears offense is not one guy. There's no one guy that really stands out in the Bears offense as being like, this is the volume whore. This is the guy who we're going to give all the targets to, all the touches to, or whatever. This is an offense that is truly balanced where they spread it out to multiple wide receivers. They spread out the carries and the touches to multiple running backs. I don't really see that changing outside of an injury. Outside of injuries that kind of like thin out some positions for them, I still feel like you're going to get 5 or 6 targets a game for Trey Burton. I feel like you're going to get, 15 carries or so for Montgomery. You're still going to get 10, 12 touches for Tariq Cohen because they want to get the ball in his hand. You got guys like Anthony Miller who's going to see some targets. You got Allen Robinson who's probably going to be the highest targeted guy on the team. And I still don't expect him to get more than like 8 targets on most games. So my biggest thing with this Bears offense is I think everybody gets a feel. Everybody gets a couple touches. Everybody's going to get involved. But it's not going to be a team like the Giants who are going to feed a guy like Saquon Barkley because they just don't have a lot of other weapons, Yep. So for fantasy, that's the one drawback of it.
Looking at my running backs on this team, continuing, Tariq Cohen, Phil Lindsay, Sony Michel, Jalen Rashad, Theo Riddick, Damian Williams, and Jamal Williams, which that might have been the last pick in my draft. Solid running back core, but I don't have no problem with it. Sony Michel, health is key. Phil Lindsay's role is key. And also Damian Williams' role is key, too. The running backs ain't bad.
I'm not worried about Damian Williams' role. I think people are really over-exaggerating this whole thing. Carlos Hyde basically sucks right now. I mean, we saw Carlos Hyde out there, and
Carlos Hyde is great to start the preseason. He sucks in the middle of the preseason. By the time the season starts, Carlos Hyde, people say Carlos Hyde's going to get cut. Guess what? Carlos Hyde will be on if you're in the 12-team league, Carlos Hyde will be on the roster by week 3, I guarantee you.
You think so?
He may be off it by week 8, but
yeah,
Carlos Hyde is up and down player.
See, here's the thing with Carlos Hyde is he basically lost the backup running back spot to Darwin. Was it Darwin Thomas, Darwin James, something like that?
Darwin Thompson, something like that. Yeah. Darwin James is the safety in San Diego.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I know that name for some reason. Yeah, Darwin Thompson is now basically the backup running back in Kansas City. I still think Damian Williams is getting at least 2/3 of the touches here in his backfield. The thing that Carlos Hyde has to worry about now, though, is he's fighting for a 3rd, 4th running back role, which is usually a guy that plays special teams. Yeah. A lot of times that 3rd, 4th running back is the special teams guy, and I don't know if he can do that. So
Carlos Hyde not going to play no special teams. He'll get cut first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why he may find himself out there looking for a job. And listen, he's been around the league. He's been solid enough that I think somebody will wind up picking him up. But I'd be a little worried about Carlos Hyde right now.
All right. Wide receivers, Geronimo, my guy, Odell, Devin Funchess, Cooper Kupp, Dante Moncrief, Josh Doxson, Paul Richardson. I got 2 DC wide receivers. That's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tight ends, Cameron Brate, Hunter Henry, Kyle Rudolph, and the free agent Austin Seferian-Jenkins. So I do have some ad drops I can do, get some of this dead weight off the team, and we'll see what's out there, Benny.
Yeah, I mean this is the problem when you draft in June, right? Like this is always my problem with Scott Fishbowl is they started so soon before OTAs even start, before anything really gets out there. You always wind up with 3 or 4 guys on your team that you're just like, when you go back and look at it, you're just like, what the hell was I thinking when I drafted this guy? Like I have my 3rd tight end on my Scott Fishbowl team I was looking at the other day is Dawson Knox.
Wow.
Most people probably don't even know. I mean, I got Jordan Reed and I have Will Dissly as my top 2, but most people probably don't even know who Dawson Knox is. Do you even know what team Dawson Knox is on?
That Benny, I've always prided myself on saying I knew every player in the NFL. I do not know Dawson Knox.
Yeah, so he was like a young guy. I don't know if he's a rookie or a second year. He was a tight end for the Buffalo Bills, right? And I figured, all right, well, I was reading stuff, early in June that said he had the inside track on Buffalo's, starting tight end gig. Apparently he does not have the inside track on Buffalo's starting tight end gig anymore. So this is one of those guys that whoever I pick up, whatever moves I go to make in the Scott Fishbowl when the fab bidding starts on next Wednesday, I think it's September 4th, so maybe 2 Wednesdays from now, that's the guy that's going to be at the top of my list of people that I'm going to be dropping.
What team did you say he played for?
He plays for the Buffalo Bills. He's a tight end.
Well, he's got overtaken by the dude I talked about yesterday. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying I figured the Bills needed a tight end, and this was the guy who in June they said had the inside track on it, and apparently he lost it to the guy. What was the guy's name you were talking about yesterday?
Terry Sweeney, I believe his name is.
Yeah, so Sweeney. So he lost out basically to Sweeney in this battle. So now I have the backup tight end for the Buffalo Bills, which is not a guy that you really want on your roster. But you know what? Again, I mean, he was either my last round pick or my second to last round pick because I was looking for more with the tight end scoring there. I was looking for more tight end depth. So this is a guy that's going to get dropped off my team. So maybe I'll see if Sweeney's available. I'll try to drop him and see if I can pick up Sweeney.
Here's an interesting thing. Josh Gordon is not available will not be available. He was picked in my Scott's Fishbowl league. Jacoby Myers is available. Son, where's Demaryius Thomas at? Is he still playing? You don't hear nothing about Demaryius Thomas.
Did he get cut already by the Patriots? I thought he did.
I feel like he might have got cut already, right? That's what it is. Okay.
And, I mean, listen,
we saw that coming.
Yeah, I don't really think he catches on either. I mean, last year when he went to the Texans, he had, I want to say like the first game or the second game he played, he had like one drive where he had like 3 catches on a drive, and people were like, oh yeah, like DT is going to be a thing now, and he didn't do anything for the rest of the season with them.
No, it's Demaryius Thomas probably well past his playing days. I'm just looking through some of the Taylor Gabriel's on the waiver wire is a player I like. He should be owned. The 2 guys in Cleveland, Rashad Higgins and Dontrell Hilliard, are on the waiver wire. You should be seeing them. They'll be getting picked up.
Look up running back. Darwin Thomas is probably on there.
I'm going to look him up right now.
You already have Damian Williams, so that's a very good guy to have there as the handcuff.
I think Russell Shepard can be a guy that gets picked up. But let me look at Kansas City. Hold on. Kansas City running backs. He's owned, Benny.
Whoever owns him is very good at fantasy football, if you were thinking that far ahead, because in June he wasn't on anybody's radar.
Because his name is Darwin, right?
Pretty sure. I gotta double check. I'll look it up, but he should be somebody that's there. He was the guy that I was gonna look for to see if I could add to my stable of running backs.
But nah, he's not. He did. Somebody must have snagged him up already. Like
Austin Eckler should definitely be owned anyway, but Jackson could be another guy that's there. Again, a lot of people still took. I mean, you look back at some of these Scott Fishbowls, a lot of people still took Melvin Gordon in the first round. Your boy Pollard may be around there too, because a lot of people took Zeke. I think I took Zeke I think I have Zeke in the Scott Fishbowl. He was my first-round pick. I think I had number 3 overall, and I took him over Kamara. Oh, no, I had 4, and I took Kamara. Actually, no, that's right. Somebody took Zeke right before me, so I have Kamara. I have Alvin Kamara, so I'm good with that. But whoever has Zeke in a lot of these leagues should be starting to worry about it. Are you worried about it? You're a Cowboys fan. No. But are you like, no, because you're like, I'm a Cowboys fan, and if they don't sign him, we're screwed? Or are you like, nah, this is going to get done? Because, I mean, we're what? 20 days from – we're not even 20 days from opening day right now, and he's still not in camp.
I think what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Somebody has to give in. Ezekiel Elliott's not going to play, period. And if Ezekiel Elliott's not going to play, then they're going to pay him because the Dallas Cowboys want to go to the Super Bowl. And no matter what you say about Tony Pollard cannot protect Dak Prescott. Ezekiel Elliott's the best blocking back in the NFL. They'll get it. They'll figure out a way to get it done.
I mean, you sure? Because, like, you know, Zeke who? I mean, you know.
Yeah,
Tony Pollard is like Zeke who, man? Like, come on.
Nah, Zeke could be there. I don't have Pollard is not available in my Scott's Fishbowl. I was with a bunch of sharks, huh? Alfred Morris is, though, but he'll probably be getting cut soon. Who were some of the other preseason stars that I can think of?
Who's the kid from
in Atlanta? Brian Hill. Yes, Brian Hill is available.
Okay, yeah, instead of Ito Smith. I like that.
Brian Hill is available, and Kadri Allison's available also.
Look at the maybe the Jaguars wide receivers. You could probably find somebody down there because I think people were still drafting Marquise Lee at that time, thinking he was going to be there. You may be able to find like DJ Shark or Chris Conley
and DJ Shark available.
Yeah, both of those guys are slated to be the starting receivers on the outside, with D.D. Westbrook being the guy who people think is going to be the most targeted coming out of the slot. So those are 2 guys that you could probably grab off a waiver wire that, you know, you may have somebody on your team that they're better than.
No doubt. So that's a quick look. Right quick, but then want to get back to tonight's games. Carolina and New England, we talked about the Patriots side. Panthers, right quick. I'm pretty sure we know what the Panthers are. Christian McCaffrey, is he 1-1 this weekend?
He's still 1-2 for me behind Saquon, but, I mean, again, it's apples and oranges. Like, I'm not going to argue with somebody who decides to take him first. But to me, those are the two best fantasy football players this year. They should be 1-1 and 1-2, whether you like Saquon or Christian McCaffrey. Personally, I'm still on Barkley, but, you know, I'm not going to argue with anybody who goes C-Mac instead.
Washington and Atlanta play down in Atlanta tonight. These teams play in Atlanta every preseason. Well, that's how preseason normally rolls. Man, so many questions on DC. I think Jordan Reed, Peterson, Geis. Other than that, and then what do you expect from Geis if you're drafting Geis at his ADP?
I'm not drafting Geis, period. Because this is the exact reason, Corey. I don't know what to expect. I really don't know what to expect. So to me, he's just not some. Other people are going to take him way before I'd be willing to take him. Put it that way.
And in Atlanta, you know, we're still watching that spot to see who gets to be Devontae Freeman's backup. So that's something to pay attention to. The Packers and the Raiders. These also teams that are pretty much set, Benny. The Raiders, that second wide receiver. Are you a Tyrell Williams guy?
Absolutely. I think people are sleeping on Tyrell Williams.
For sure on that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, he could honestly wind up being a number 1 wide receiver this year because this Antonio Brown thing is just blowing my mind right now. He's filed another grievance for the hell. I mean, like, dude, just shut up and play. Like, I'm sorry. Like, a lot of times I take the player's side. You know that, Corey. Like, most of the time I'm somebody who's on the player's side. I think management's jerks in almost every aspect of life. But, to me, this is not one of those things that I'm going to – the Raiders have a lot of dysfunction. The Antonio Brown situation to me is not something that I'm blaming on the Raiders. I'm squarely blaming this on Antonio Brown because he's being a moron this offseason.
Yeah, I love Antonio Brown to death, but I cannot defend his actions. Before we get up out of here, Bernie, I'll leave you on an Antonio Brown note. Saw the story yesterday. This is blow your mind, right?
Good.
When Antonio Brown went out to the Pro Bowl, I guess it might have been last year, 2 years ago, whatever, and didn't stay in the hotel room. He got him like a little private villa or whatever the case may be. Took his homies out there to Hawaii with him for the Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So they hired a chef They hired a gourmet chef. They flew the gourmet chef out, whatever. You know what I'm saying, to make the meals and stuff while they're in Hawaii.
Right.
Well, first day the chef comes over and cooks whatever, and they enjoyed and stuff like that. Well, Antonio Brown and his people, when they were going, like I guess they were going for leftovers or something like that, noticed that there was a fish head in the freezer. They took that as disrespect and accused the chef of trying to threaten them or send them a message by leaving a fish head in the freezer. And the chef was like, son, I just left. I was going to use the fish head to make some soup with. It wasn't like The Godfather leaving a horse head in your bed. I wasn't looking at it like that. I wasn't trying to tell you to sleep with the fishes, whatever. So they did not let the dude back into they kicked him out of the villa. They did not give him his cooking utensils back, nor did Antonio Brown pay him because he felt threatened and disrespected by the dude leaving a fish head in the freezer.
I've had fish heads too. It's it's something that a lot of people do. That's not that big a deal. Dude, if you put the fish in your bed or the front seat of your car and like a newspaper wrapped up, that's sending a message. Where is he supposed to leave the fish head? Is it not supposed to be in the freezer? I don't know. I don't know, man.
It's not like Antonio Brown has had a career taking big hits, Benny. You know what I'm saying? But I'm starting to think Antonio Brown.
I said this to you a couple weeks ago. Do you think this is a concussion kind of thing? Because he's acting weird, man. The stuff he's doing right now is just I don't know. It's not only is it not normal, but it's way out there. It makes me think that there might be something. Yeah, there might be something. I hate to say that about anybody, but there might be something wrong up there right now. I don't know, man.
No, it's really weirded out. All right, Benny, let's get some baseballs and give out some big pieces of chicken and get up out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I only have one play today for baseball that I'm looking at. The Braves and the Nationals are both minus 200 favorites today.
Yeah.
Minus 220 with Max Scherzer on the mound just feels like it's a little low for me. And the Braves, we got my boy Mike Soroka on the mound, who I like a lot too. So you put those two teams together for a money line parlay. Braves Nationals money line parlay pays even money. So you bet 100, you win 100. I'm willing to take Braves Nationals, put them together, and take the even money on the parlay. So that's my big bet for today for baseball.
And there you go right there. Ooh, the Braves are minus 300.
Yeah, and then you get the Braves and you put the Nationals. I put them together. I got plus 100. It might even be minus one something now because I think both of those lines are moving in favor of both of those teams.
Yeah, it's minus 105 right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Big piece of chicken. I had the person in my head. I give it to Kemba Walker getting the USA that victory last night. Interesting. I think Kemba Walker can be a sneaky MVP candidate this year because he's going to play enough games. And if that Boston team improves they should have been, if Boston becomes what they should have been the past couple of years, people are going to give props on that one to Kemba Walker. What you got, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to
the Detroit Tigers. Everybody saw that coming yesterday.
Yeah, the Tigers winning yesterday, they also should deserve a big piece of chicken. But I'm actually going to give mine to Renato Nunez of the Baltimore Orioles. He was my sneaky low-owned guy to hit a home run yesterday. I actually got him. He wasn't as low-owned as I thought. I actually got him at 10% in one of the tournaments I was in. He was 8 or 9% in the other tournament. I think a lot of people wound up stacking that Baltimore-Kansas City game in different ways just because if you wanted to pay up for a $12,000 Justin Verlander, you kind of had to go down there and take him. But he was my low-owned home run call. Corey, he was plus 420, I think, to hit a home run, and he hit a home run for me last night. So very happy about that. Yeah, you know what? It was a good number, so I should have bet on him one way or another anyway. But I didn't take him to hit the home run straight up. I took two other guys on Baltimore. I took two guys on the Royals instead of taking him straight up. But I did play him in DFS, so he got me the home run in DFS. I wish I would have bet on him though, because at plus 400 for a home run, that would have been a nice payout. But big shout out to Renato Nunez for going yard yesterday.
All right, there you go for your man, Benny. I'm Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line. We are out.